Hey, howdy, hey, bronies and ponies and the rest of you, Wolfman47- here. So, I think a number of years ago, I'd be watching Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon and all those other channels, and, you know, every time they throw adverts on, it was usually a lot of toys that were being advertised, and also some stuff that were not really for me, for adults, you know, insurance and all that. And one thing I will say, and admittedly, I didn't particularly like watching any adverts that were sort of showing things that were tailored to the female and obviously people that are into that, other people that are into that stuff, demographics, let's say. I don't know, I think it was just the way they were advertised just came across as very sort of cringy and creepy and all sorts, you know. And, you know, a lot of those were to do with actually, you know, looking after these baby dolls, which are just, ugh, no. And one of those different franchises was, of course, My Little Pony. Now, My Little Pony, I kind of get the sort of understand it about these ponies with magic powers and all sorts, and brushing hair and everything. And for a while, I kind of sort of stayed clear of that and other franchises similar to that as far as what demographics it's trying to tailor to. And then I saw a video, which I think was from Doug Walker of Channel Awesome, although I could be wrong about that, where he was talking about his confession of being a brony. Obviously, a brony is what a male is what a male fan of My Little Pony is, and that got me curious. Unfortunately, I didn't really get into that iteration of My Little Pony at the time because at the time I was still at college doing my various courses to get my different qualifications, and then obviously had a career in advocacy and everything, and we are where we are now. But now that I've got the time to actually give it a chance, I then decided the interest of the franchise kind of reignited as the minute I saw my friends on certain WhatsApp groups I'm in sort of using GIFs to sort of express themselves from this show that I'm going to talk about, which is My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. So, you know, I got interested once again, and I decided to give it a watch. And initially, my plan was to cover the whole show in one video, but not do it but kind of do it like by season, by film, and not actually go into each of the individual episodes. And Sound of Life, of all people, hated that idea, or actually, no, didn't really hate the idea, but kind of sort of made me think, okay, maybe don't do a whole show, maybe do it by season, so then at least I can sort of go into each individual episode without worry of having to go through everything. Because believe me, I've done a lot of Let's Talks, particularly this year, where I've talked about TV shows, but I've not really gone into every single episode of every single season because it's already part of a much bigger video already. But I decided that because some of these different franchises that I cover are mainly TV shows, I did sort of think maybe I should do it by season, and don't, because, you know, that's kind of how I reviewed The Amazing Digital Circus, because that's obviously its own series with episodes that come out every so often, and, you know, with the last couple of episodes being released in the cinema, which I did watch with Sound of Life, it felt right for me to sort of go through each individual episode, and that's what I've decided to do with this as well. So I'm going to do My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic, and each video is going to be like each of the different seasons, going through each of the individual episodes that I've seen, as well as the other stuff that's also tied to it as well, because I know there's some TV specials and films and so forth as well, so I'll go through those as and when I get around to them. But yeah, if you're expecting this to be a big mega video, it's not going to be that, I promise. So it's just going to be the first season, and then I don't know how regularly what frequency I'll be going back to the show, but what I've decided is that I'll do season one today, and then I'm planning to do season 2 in September. Planning to cover season 2 in September. Have a break in October because obviously I want to focus on horror and Halloween stuff then, and then maybe go back to it in November and go from there. So yeah. And something I will say, Sound Life made a point to me that this show, you can actually learn stuff from the show. And, you know, there's a lot of shows out there that you can learn a lot of things, but some of them, lots of them work really well, sort of showing some very relatable things, some things that kind of make sense and talks about all sorts. But there's like a fine line on a way to do it, so you have to not be too patronising. I mean, if you're like a very young child that's watching, that's only just started to watch shows, obviously you'll be obviously the parents will want them to watch educational shows. So those ones are sort of how the way they are and all that. But fortunately with this show, I'm pleased to say that it's not patronising at all. In fact, if anything, it kind of more reminds me of a lot of different Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon shows that I watched when I was younger. I'll be honest, kind of just has that vibe to it. But anyway, so enough talk. Let's actually start talking about it. And just so it's known to everybody, I'm currently watching the series on Netflix, but I understand Netflix doesn't have the entire show, so I may go on to other stream platforms or maybe buy on home media if I decide that I like it enough to buy on home media. So yeah, but anyway. So we'll start with the first couple of episodes because the first season has a 2-part series premiere, and that is called Friendship is Magic. So it's the 2-part season premiere of the Friendship is Magic show. It's the first 2 episodes of the first season, and it follows Twilight Sparkle. And I don't know who voices her, so I'll leave that in the edit if I feel it's right. Anyway, so Twilight Sparkle, a studious antisocial unicorn who reluctantly travels to the town of Ponyville and the assistance of her mentor, Princess Celestia. And there she meets 5 ponies: Applejack, Rainbow Dash, Rarity, Fluttershy, and Pinkie Pie, with whom she becomes close friends. Together, the six work to defeat the evil Nightmare Moon, a villain who has returned after 1,000 years of imprisonment in the moon with magical artifacts known as the Elements of Harmony. So, yeah, this is obviously a 2-part episode, and I feel it's only fair that I sort of review it as like one episode, and it definitely sets the stage and tone for it. Obviously, as the show goes on, it's not as sort of epic as this first episode, but definitely showed how epic it can be for sure. And I'm actually looking forward to when it does start to become epic again. But it's a good start to the series for sure. Very well animated, lots of comedy and all sorts in there, and it does sort of show the importance of all those different things that you come across in life where people say that you shouldn't. That people often say that you need to do this alone, but you shouldn't really do it alone. You know, you do have friends. You're in it together, and if they want to be in it together, then yeah, they will be with you. You know, for those times where you just want to be alone, but then they're there to help you and everything. So you know, it's a story that sort of explains that take advantage of the friends that you have, but you know, not in a negative way, like in a positive way. Just understand that they are there to support and help you if they're like very good friends. So yeah, so Friendship is Magic, the first 2 episodes of obviously My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, I'm going to give them a 9 out of 10. Give the whole story 9 out of 10, that is. So yeah. Okay, on to the 3rd episode. So this is called The Ticketmaster. So this one. So in this episode, Twilight Sparkle receives 2 tickets to the Grand Galloping Gala from Princess Celestia, leading to conflict among her friends as each wants to be chosen as her companion. So it's one of those stories about one person receiving 2 invitations, and she in this case has to make a tough decision as to who to bring. And I guess I kind of sort of understand that this is meant to be about sort of understanding that beggars can't be choosers or something along those lines. And yeah, it's difficult to choose, and if you can't choose, then why don't just try and invite them all? And obviously in the end it all works out for everybody, but yeah, it's definitely one of those ones where you have to, where it's not really great to be selfish about things and everything. But you know, it's, you know, if you're just desperate to go somewhere, then you know it's very difficult when you're sort of like having given one invitation and then another invitation, but not other invitations. So you can't bring everybody. You have to be picky, but it all works out in the end. So yeah, so Ticketmaster, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. So next up is Applebuck season, which is the 4th episode. And in this one, Applejack stubbornly insists on harvesting all the animals at Sweet Apple Acres by herself when her brother Big McIntosh is injured, which causes chaos around Ponyville when she tries to help with other tasks while sleep deprived. Yeah, basically moral of the story right there. Don't overwork yourself, because otherwise you'll hit burnout and all that. Believe me, I've been told several billion times by a lot of people that I shouldn't do so many things at once and just be very, very tired afterwards. So yeah, and I'm just gonna have a drink before we carry on. So I kind of get the idea about that, but overall, yeah, not bad episode. A pretty simple, straightforward one, I guess is best to describe it. So gonna give it an 8 out of 10 as well. Moving on to the 5th episode, which is called Griffin the Brush-Off. So in this one, Pinkie Pie and Rainbow Dash bond over playing pranks, but their friendship is tested when Rainbow Dash's old friend Gilda, Griffin, arrives and begins treating other ponies poorly. Oh, Gilda, yeah. So admittedly, I did sort of have this one play in the background while I was cracking on with other things, but I get the sort of idea is that in this one you kind of sort of have to, try and sort of keep the friendship going despite someone sort of interfering, getting in the way. Believe me, I've been there when I've had getting on with all my friends and everything, and then one person comes in and kind of comes very, very close to ruining it. But then somehow you manage to find a way to make out that some friendships are stronger than others. So yeah, and again, I will say all these episodes, the whole show, in my opinion, is very. I like the traditional animation. I think it's great, and it's well animated and everything. And the eyes on the ponies are just very expressive, and I do kind of like that. But anyway, so Griffin the Brush-Off. Yeah, I'll give this. It's not my overall favourite one, but it is very relatable in places. So don't know. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Next up is Ghostbusters. So this is the 6th episode of 1st season, and in this one, Twilight Sparkle faces a dilemma. When a boastful unicorn magician named Trixie arrives in Ponyville, and Twilight must overcome her fears about revealing her own magic abilities to help her friends and the town. Again, this was another one of those episodes that I did play in the background while doing other stuff, but I do remember watching. Yeah, I did remember watching all of it, I'll admit. I guess this one is pretty much about trying to overcome your fears about your more embarrassing fears, because let's be honest, a lot of us do have those fear of having these very embarrassing things that you don't want to admit, like for a while I felt very sort of ashamed about my sexuality for a long time, but then eventually came out when I realised that it's actually that most of my friends are actually, the friends I've got now are actually okay with the sexuality that I am, and they were pretty much in support of it and everything. So yeah, and even my parents as well, they're very much in support too. And I guess also, just if someone's trying to overshadow you, that's not really a great thing to do either, because they just make out that they're all high and mighty, but really they're not. And believe me, I've had people like that in my life who just feel like they're very high and mighty and think anything I do is inferior and everything, which that's not true at all. So yeah, but anyway, so Ghostbusters is as magical as you can get, so going to give a slightly higher 8 out of 10. Next is Dragonshy. So this is the 7th episode, and this was written by Megan McCarthy. In this episode, Fluttershy must overcome her crippling fear of dragons when she and her friends are tasked with convincing a dragon to leave his cave as his smoky breath threatens to cover Ponyville. And I probably should have explained that each of the ponies do have their own abilities and so forth. And in Fluttershy's case, she wants to be one with. She basically wants to sort of help the little critters out there. She's basically what most Disney princesses are. They're sort of, or specifically Snow White, because they are very much wanting to have little critters helping them out. And I know that's probably not the best comparison to do, but it's just how I feel about it. She doesn't. I don't think she sings. I'm not. Can't remember if she has. Yeah, she has sing. Of course they have. They have all sang. Yeah, I like the design of the dragons in this. I think, and I have sort of seen this scenario before where there's this dragon that's not very well liked, and then you got this one person that's not afraid to go up to the dragon and basically check if the dragon's okay, and then the dragon kind of sort of understands that what he did was wrong or whatever and so forth, and then goes about his merry way and everything. So I think it's really, I'm not sure what I've learned from this one other than just acknowledge that what you did was wrong and just apologise to people, because it's great when you sort of admit to sort of things, but it's not great if you sort of deny it and then sort of have no shame and just don't leave without any dignity left. It's just reminds me of politicians and all sorts. And I know I've done a few shorts in the past where I've just taught where it's it's basically an indirect reference to stuff that's going on in politics. And I just want to be clear, this channel is not political at all. I do sometimes touch upon it, but usually more often than not I tend to sort of stay clear of it as much as I possibly can. So yeah, but anyway, so Dragonshy gets a 9 out of 10. Next is Look Before You Sleep, the 8th episode of the first season. So this one was written by Charlotte Fullerton. And in this one, Applejack, who, as the name implies, is very much collects apples and wants to make stuff out of apples. And then there's also Rarity, who's the fashion designer. But anyway, the pair of them have a conflict over their different approaches to work while preparing for a thunderstorm, leading to an impromptu slumber party at Twilight Sparkle's library, where they must learn to work together. Pretty much that. It's an episode about working together, and that's pretty much the end of it. Simple and straightforward, to the point and all that. And they do all sorts of things. They do ghost stories, make s'mores, play truth or dare, have a pillow fight, all the stuff that most people typically do when camping or having a sleepover, like you do, you know. So yeah, and I can't really relate to this one at all because I've never really had much of a sleepover thing. I know I've had friends sleep over and I've slept over friends, but apart from that, I've never really had experienced the sort of sleepover that most people would have had when they were younger. So yeah, not a bad thing though. It's just all my friends at the time were sort of spread across the county that we all live in. So getting everybody together would have been difficult. Not so much now, but yeah. Anyway, so Look Before You Sleep, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. So, on to the 9th episode, which is called Bridal Gossip, or Bridal Gossip. I'm not sure how it's best pronounced, but anyway. So this episode was written by Amy Keating-Rogers and directed by James Wooten. In this episode, the residents of Ponyville become fearful and suspicious when Sakura, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, a zebra from the Everfree Forest arrives in town. When the main characters suffer from various magical affiliations after an encounter in the forest, they initially begin with Sakura until learning the true cause and the dragons and the dangers of prejudice and jumping to conclusions. We've all been there. We've all had those occasions where something as bad has happened and we just immediately jump to the conclusion that this and this shouldn't have happened, and we just immediately assume that this person did this, this person did that, and everything. I have had people in my life that definitely for sure jump to the conclusion that I did something wrong, or they think someone else did something wrong, and not really sort of taking responsibility for their own actions. But you know, when someone builds that reputation of being bad, it's not great. And I don't really know much about prejudice, I'll admit, but I do know a lot about jumping to conclusions, and yeah, I can think that's definitely what this episode is trying to I was trying to explain that just because a person arrives that changes things doesn't mean that they're necessarily the ones responsible for the change of things. So, you know, a bit of a complicated one, but well animated, acted, and everything. And the curses that each of the main ponies get are quite unique as well. So bridal or bridal gossip, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. So next is the 10th episode, Swarm of the Century. So this one was written by M.A. Larson, and in the episode, Fluttershy discovers a cute creature called a parasprite. But the town of Ponyville is soon overrun when the creatures reproduce rapidly and begin devouring everything in sight. Yeah, I've seen things like this before, where you bring something home, think it's all fine and dandy, and then they sort of try to destroy everything inside. This is basically the My Little Pony Friendship's Magic version of the Gremlins. If you don't know what the Gremlins is, it's a Steven Spielberg produced film franchise about these little creatures that you shouldn't really feed after midnight, and all these other rules as well. And then they sort of become these very sort of monstrous characters after being cute to begin with, and then become these monstrous characters that kind of wreak havoc and cause danger and everything. So I don't know what lessons can be learned from this one, but yeah, it's pretty much one that they could have gone greatly with the Gremlins, but they fortunately needed to tone it down a great deal, because it's meant to be tailored for a particular audience, let's say. But yeah, I thought this was alright. So Swarm of the Century, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. So I then sort of had a break from watching the show for a while I was getting on with other stuff, and then in preparation for this video, I then sort of went back to it, and this was the next episode that I started, which is Winter Wrap Up, which has a very catchy song in it. So yeah, and it's a catchy song to the point where it's just going to get stuck in your head for a while. So yeah, but anyway. So this episode was written by Cindy Moore, and in it, Twilight Sparkle participates in Ponyville's annual Winter Wrap-Up tradition, where the ponies prepare the land for spring without using magic. When Twilight struggles to celebrate struggles to contribute without her magic abilities, she discovers her organisational skills are exactly what the town needs to coordinate the event successfully, because, as it turns out, the event has not been as successful for quite a number of years. So yeah, they try and do that. So I guess this is a case of learning to be organised. Like in life, it's good to be organised, and you know, and it's a very interesting, very original, I think, anyway, way to sort of demonstrate how everyone should get ready for the different seasons that lay ahead. So you know, when it's winter, you know, wrap up. When it's spring, don't wrap up, but start planting flowers and everything. When it's summer, just appreciate the sun, that the sun is out, but also make sure you hydrate. Take layers of clothing off if you need to. And yeah, I know I've done that a lot lately. So yeah. And in autumn, just be ready for it to be a little bit cooler, and all the leaves to become flooding down, and also the different sort of foods and drinks and so forth that you can have by season and everything. Although I will admit that I think most shops nowadays do sort of go a bit over the top by releasing, you know, lots of Christmas and Halloween stuff long before Christmas and Halloween are about, and the same with Easter as well, and all this other stuff. It's crazy, but if you're organised and do it right, then you can do it just fine. So yeah, so you know, catchy song aside, that's going to be stuck in my head for a while. Winter Wrap Up, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Call of the Cutie is the next episode, the 12th episode that is of the first season. This one was written by Megan McCarthy again, and in the episode, Apple Bloom, who I think is Applejack, who is like one of the little ponies that's a relative of some of the main protagonists. But anyway, in the episode, Bloom becomes worried about not having a cute mark and attempts to get one by any means necessary before Diamond Tiara's cute Cineera party. I'm just going to say party because I can't pronounce that word. Yeah, so if you've not noticed yet by now, each of the ponies, or most of them anyway, have their cutie marks, and usually the cutie marks are sort of tattoo or sort of design on their backsides to sort of show what kind of what kind of abilities, talents, powers, or whatever that they have, and they kind of earn those cutie marks by actually literally doing those things. And this is one of a few episodes I've noticed where these little sort of smaller, younger ponies are working very hard to get their cutie marks, but keep ended up doing pretty much the same things as the other ponies are doing, which is not really original or unique. They're just doing what they're doing in the desperate attempts to get their cutie marks, which they don't do in this one. But what I do find, I think, is like the sort of lesson to be learnt in this particular episode is even if you don't have a cutie mark, you can still be unique, and you can still make friends. And you know, it's not a case of trying to fit in or whatever. It's just some people have them, some people haven't, and some people are just so uptight and full of themselves that they think if you don't have your cutie mark, you can't be part of their little club or whatever. So you know, form your own club, make your own friends, and all that stuff. So yeah, so Call of Cutie, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Another drink before we carry on. Okay, so next episode, 13th episode, and I need to tell my friend who may be watching this, yes, it's the 13th episode, but that doesn't mean it means bad luck, so, you know, get yourself out of the gutter there. But anyway, so Full Weather Friends. So this episode was written by Amy Keating-Rogers, and in this episode, Applejack and Rainbow Dash engage in a series of athletic competitions that escalates into a heated rivalry during Ponyville's annual Running of the Leaves marathon. So I guess this is an episode about just their attempt of sort of doing a race and seeing who's the fastest and everything. And obviously Applejack and Rainbow Dash have their own different ideas of being fast. Like Rainbow Dash is quite literally a pony that likes to dash with a rainbow running behind her, and then Applejack, it comes from a sort of cowboy western kind of background, so she has her way with that. And yeah, it's pretty much that from what I can remember of it. But yeah, I guess the lesson to be learnt here is doesn't matter if you have similar abilities or whatever, just, you know, enjoy it, and just it's not the winning, it's the taking part that counts, unless they say that the winning is the one that matters, which I just think is wrong, but that's just me. Yeah. So Full Weather Friends, 9 out of 10 for that one. Next is Suited for Success. So this is the 14th episode. And this one was written by Charlotte Fullerton, and in this one, Rarity attempts to design dresses for her friends to wear to the Grand Galloping Gala, but learns the importance of staying true to her artistic vision when their input compromises her design. So, while it is good that some people do quite enjoy designing things for people, it's always sometimes they kind of get it through their heads that it's all well and good for having their ideas for things, but then they eventually start to realise that it's not actually, that input is still very important as well. Because if people give you their input, then it means you'll do it. Then it means that they will get it to the way they want it. But you know, it kind of comes across like it's backseat driving, but not really. But yeah, do your own thing, but also listen to input as well, is what I'm trying to say. And I say this because often when I'm doing certain videos, I kind of like to have people who I know can do thumbnails to create thumbnails for those videos, and many of them do it without asking for any kind of money at all. They're just happy to do it, and I always sort of give them some input about what I want in it, and they do exactly what I wanted and everything, and it's all fine and dandy. So yeah. But anyway, so Suited for Success. Overall, I think I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Okay, so next is Feeling Pinky Keen. So this is the 15th episode, written by Dave Polsky. And in this one, Twilight Sparkle learns about Pinkie Pie's alleged clairvoyance ability called the Pinky Sense, and becomes determined to understand it through scientific analysis. So clairvoyance, don't really know much about that, but it's, I guess you could say it's just her trying to understand what this pinky sense is. So kind of like how Spider-Man has his spider sense. They sort of detect certain things by using different movements. In Pinkie Pie's case, it's just a lot of twitches and shaking and everything because something's going to happen. So it's all about just sort of learning these sort of twitches and things. Like, they may have a meaning to them, they may not. It may just be just simple twitching for no apparent reason. Like for me, I suffer with infrequent migraines, which can occur randomly. It can be from nothing. They can happen for absolutely no reason at all, or they do have a reason, and it's usually because of stress and so forth, which, you know, as someone that's got a lot of head conditions now, I need to sort of make sure that's on check and everything, so that doesn't get too much or anything. So yeah, but anyway, so feeling pinky keen, I am going to give it because I think it's actually quite a funny episode, to be fair. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 as well. So now for, I guess, one of the more epic episodes, and I'll explain why. Sonic Rainboom. So Sonic Rainboom is the 16th episode of the first season. It was written by M.A. Larson, and in this one, Rainbow Dash competes in the Young Flyers competition in Cloudsdale, and attempts to recreate the touchdown maneuver, which releases a rainbow-coloured sonic boom, and which she once performed as a filly. The filly being the sort of little ponies before becoming adult or whatever. So yeah. So I think the epicness comes from just coming towards the end, where she's trying to sort of prove to herself that she can do it again, and it's kind of sort of takes a lot to sort of make this epic rainbow come out, and it is actually quite spectacular. It's actually quite a very action-packed episode, and also has some funny moments in that her fellow pony friends are trying to sort of get to the Cloudsdale, but are finding it difficult because while some of them do have wings, most of them do not. So getting to Cloudsdale is tricky, but Twilight Sparkle finds a way, and they manage to get there and all that stuff and everything. And I think it's just showing that I think it's just sort of explaining that even though some people will put you down and possibly make out that they think that you're not going to do it, you know, don't give up hope. Don't sort of lose hope. Just if you have the drive to keep doing it, then keep doing it. Doesn't matter what people say. Just keep at it. Believe me, I've kind of have had a lot of times where I've just wanted to sort of keep sort of the hope up, because a lot of people I know don't really know the sort of understand the concept of hope. Like, I've had some friends, or former friends I should say, that sort of had no hope whatsoever, and even with my input they just didn't get it or anything. Nowadays I try and do a better job of it, which is usually appreciated, you know, so giving people hope that they do matter, they do have a purpose and everything, and it's not all bad. So yeah. But anyway, so Sonic Rainboom, 9 out of 10. Next is Stairmaster, the 17th episode of the first season, written by Chris Savano, and in this one, Fluttershy volunteers to babysit the Cutie Mark Crusaders while Rarity works, but the Feelies venture into dangerous Everfree Forest to rescue an escaped chicken. Again, the second episode of this, I guess, saga, where the Cute Mark Crusaders, who made themselves that in an earlier episode, are just trying to find their cutie whatever spark thing, and I forgot what the name is. Sorry, the Cutie Mark, that's it. Yeah. So it's just one of those times where they're just trying to do it, but they kind of realise that actually it's all well and good trying to rescue a chicken, but, you know, rescue a simple chicken, but, you know, don't be a hero. Because, you know, being a hero is all well and good, but sometimes it's just best to just get out of the situation yourself. You don't actually need to be a hero. And, you know, we live in a world where there's probably more villains than heroes out there, especially with politicians, terrorists and everything. So, you know, if you're in a situation where it's like you're in a losing battle, like there's no way out of it, then you're probably better off just giving up. But, you know, at the same time, being a hero can be a good thing as well, but if it really doesn't matter, then just don't do it. So yeah, I'm not sure if that was the message this episode was trying to give across, but that's how it came across to me. So yeah, so Stairmaster, I'm going to give it 8 out of 10. So next up is The Showstoppers, which is the 18th episode, written by Cindy Morrow. The Cutie Mark Crusaders attempt to earn their cutie marks by entering a school talent competition, but their efforts are complicated when each member insists on doing something they're not skilled at. So again, another one of those episodes where the Cutie Mark Crusaders are just wanting to get their cutie marks and are entering a talent competition to show off what they can do, but they just end up doing all these different things that they're not skilled at. And I guess the moral here is that you just if you're not good at one, you may be good at some things, but if you want to do something that you know deep down you're not good at, just don't do it. Just do something else altogether. I think that's what this episode is trying to say. So yeah. And I'll be honest, there are some cringy parts in this one, particularly when they start singing at the end and they're not the greatest of singers. So I think that's the main point of this one. But yeah, it's not easy to get over. So I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. So next is A Dog and Pony Show, which is the 19th episode of the first season, written by Amy Keating Rogers. And in this one, Rarity is kidnapped by a pack of diamond dogs who want to use her gem-finding abilities, but she turns the tables on her captors through cunning and manipulation rather than force. So it's a rescue episode that kind of sort of shows that if you get kidnapped, if you know a way of manipulation and cunning, then you can find your way out of the situation. Obviously, cunning can be a good thing because it means you know what you're doing, you've got plans, you've got your resources and everything. Manipulation, if you're trying to get out of a situation, may also be good as well, but I have had people in my life that are very manipulative, and I don't really like them because of that, because they try and make me out to be this and this, and lots of people some people often that I used to be friends with, they say all these things, and I know that they're talking bullshit, because there's that smile on their face that just makes me unsettled, and the way they just say it to me, it's like, I don't know if I call it patronising or just stuff that I don't want to hear, but I'm just like, I don't want to hear it. So just be open and honest with me, because okay, yeah, I may be stocky, as my friend 323 calls me, which I guess is his way of saying that I may be scary looking, but I honestly can take criticism well, I can take honesty well, and I do try very, very hard to be nothing but straight with the friends that I have, and everybody. I only ever lie to people if I want to get out of a situation, and when I know I've lied to someone, I know that it's probably best not to be part of their lives anymore, because if I'm being forced to lie to people, because lying is one thing I'm very much against, because I don't really like doing it, but I only really do it to get out of a situation, and if I'm doing it to people, then I know that's probably a sign that I need to end things. So yeah, but it's not quite what you think it is, the episode title, Dog and Pony Show, but it's certainly a funny one, and one that sort of shows the positives and also, I guess, also negatives of being cunning and being manipulative, and yeah, also very weird that Spike, the little dragon, who I've not referenced yet until now, has a sort of thing for Rarity and eats diamonds, unlike everyone else who eats, like, I don't know if I call it normal food, but diamonds just comes across as a weird thing to eat. I guess there's like sweetness in them in that universe, but anyway, going off topic. So, A Dog and Pony Show, gonna give it a 8 out of 10. So next up is Green Isn't Your Colour, the 20th episode of the first season. So this one was written once again by Megan McCarthy, and in it, Fluttershy becomes an unexpected fashion model when a famous photographer chooses her over Rarity's designs, which leads to jealousy and conflicted feelings between the friends, while Twilight Sparkle struggles with keeping their secrets. Yeah, bit of a complicated one, but does end up being actually much more straightforward than you realise. Some people don't really like doing things some people might think that this person may be great at some things, but sometimes it's also good to sort of understand that some people may be good in some people's minds at doing stuff, but they don't always they don't always like doing it and don't really want to do it, and I can kind of get that vibe here. And believe me, I've been in situations where I've done things that I've been told to do because other people tell me to do it, and I don't really want to do it. Like, I've been told to print a lot of things out, even though with people just being oblivious to the fact that printer ink is very expensive. I've been told to buy things for people and they will pay me back, and they never do pay me back. So yeah, there's that as well. And other things I've done, I've driven people around, and I will admit I have sort of said that I will drive people around if they need to. But usually my best friends are the ones that do sort of show great appreciation for it by doing something in return, like either paying for petrol money or buying me stuff or just return the favour, which I do appreciate. But then there's also those people that also tend to do that, thinking that that's the right thing to do, but then it's kind of like a very manipulative sort of way, sort of saying, oh, I want to do this, and this, and we'll make sure to bribe you with this so you don't feel bad, and it feels like I'm including you as well, but it's like, no, you're not including me, you're just saying that to make me feel better. Yeah, whatever. So yeah, green is in your colour. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Now, this next episode I think might be my favourite one, only because of the Wild West vibe it sort of has, and that is Over a Barrel. And I will say, just before I carry on, that if I were to pick a time period I wanted to live in, it would definitely be the Wild West or some futuristic sort of thing, but definitely the Wild West for sure. But anyway, so this is the 21st episode of the first season, written once again by Dave Polsky. In this episode, Applejack and her friends travel to the frontier town of Appaloosa to deliver an apple tree, where they become involved in a conflict between the town's pony settlers and a local buffalo tribe over land use rights. Yeah, one of those caught in the middle sort of episodes where you're being forced to pick a side, and then you're just in the middle of people's battles, trying to sort of understand it from everyone's point of view and trying to resolve it, and then it doesn't get resolved, whatever, and then eventually the episode ends just with them finding something new to do and everything. Yeah, this is a very complicated episode, but understandably so, because it's meant to sort of explain how being in the middle of other people's battles is just not the best place to be, I guess. But I like the design of Appaloosa, which is very sort of Wild West looking, with everyone talking like they're from the Wild West or Texas or something, which is nice. And the buffaloes, they're sort of showing the traditional sort of Indian tribe, whatever, American natives, whatever those people are called. I'm sorry if I sound racist. Yeah. It's a fun episode, this one, and I like it, so I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Okay, nearly there. 5 episodes to go, and thank you so much for still watching. If you're still watching at this point, if you haven't already, please hit the like, comment, and subscribe button if you can, please, and leave a comment below as well, because I love to have you around, see my other videos and vote and everything. Yeah, so let's carry on. So next is A Bird in the Hoof. So this is the 22nd episode of the first season, written once again by Charlotte Fullerton, and in this one, Fluttershy becomes concerned about the health of Princess Celestia's pet bird Philomena, and secretly takes the bird to care for it. Yeah, from the just based on while Fluttershy's goal does sound just, as the saying goes, yeah, you should not take other people's things without permission, particularly if you want to nurse them back to health. You should not take them things without permission. Like I used to have this friend who would come to my flat, and he'd be ever so excited with the amount of stuff I've got, and without even thinking, he just picks stuff up and just looks at it, and I'm just like, hold on, you didn't ask permission, put that fucking thing down. And yeah, because some things are more delicate than others. Lego can be delicate. My Dalek back there is delicate. a lot of stuff I have is very delicate, some fragile and other things. I mean, I know with Lego, if it breaks, you can build it back up, but it does take time, and I'd rather not do that. So yeah, just in this episode is just saying, don't take stuff that's not yours, even if you want to nurse it back to health and give it back later. You still should ask permission first. So yeah, and I do kind of get the feeling that I may have seen this sort of thing before, where someone takes care of a phoenix, the phoenix just dies and then suddenly comes back to life. I know I've seen it in Harry Potter, and I know I've seen it in other things as well, but Harry Potter does come to mind when I look at that. So yeah, but anyway, Bird and Hoof gets a 8 out of 10. So now we're back with the another Cutie Mark Crusaders episode, and this one is called the Cutie Mark Chronicles. So this is the 23rd episode of the first season, written by M.A. Larson and directed by supervising director Jason Thiessen. In this episode, the Cutie Mark Crusaders, who are still trying to find their cutie marks, learn from the other mares of how they earned their own cutie marks. In the process, the older mares realise that they share a common destiny, and it's basically showing what am I trying to say? And the overall episode is just them trying to find out how Rainbow Dash got her cutie marks, but they end up learning about the other cutie marks as well. And it says here on Wikipedia that the episode has been praised as having a complex plot for a children's program that emphasises the core values of the overall show. And I think that's great. Because most of us, I like complex things if it does make sense in the end. And there's a way to do it that's right, and there's other ways to do it where it just doesn't feel right. And this one does it in a way that sort of gives each of the ponies each of the protagonist ponies to give in their time to shine, to sort of share their stories with these youngins, while they're trying to find their own cutie marks, and just showing how they got to theirs to sort of give them inspiration and everything. And that's great. That's great. Part of the jobs that I do, I tend to sort of be one of those people that likes to sort of inspire people and everything with my different stories and how I got through life and everything. And usually I don't get many questions, but I'm hoping that's just a clear sign that people are listening and do genuinely appreciate what I tell them and everything. So yeah, well, I hope so anyway. So yeah. So Cutie Mark Chronicles, to be honest, I've not got many problems with this one, so I'm actually probably going to give this one, I don't know, I want to give it a 10, but I get a feeling there is something that I didn't like about it. Sod it. 10 out of 10 for this one. Next up is Owl's Well That Ends Well. So this is the 24th episode of the first season, written by Cindy Morrow, and in this one, Spike becomes jealous when Twilight Sparkle gets a pet owl to help with her nighttime studies, leading him to believe he's being replaced as her assistant. This is another one. This is probably one of several episodes that will be in the show about the whole idea of jealousy. Like, it's not great to be jealous, and although some people may hire people doing the same stuff as you're doing, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to ultimately replace you. It's just an extra pair of hands, or in this case, an extra pair of feathers. Let's say. So yeah, it's a bit after the last one, which I thought was particularly epic episode with everything that the show's been all about, being part of that. This one just kind of feels like maybe a little step back, but not a ridiculously bad step back. Just okay. So we had an episode about all the ponies, and now we're having an episode where it's just about Spike, who I guess didn't have much screen time in the previous episode. So yeah, okay, that kind of makes up for that. So yeah, Owl's Well That Ends Well, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. So next is the penultimate episode of the first season, which is called Party of One. So this was written once again by Megan McCarthy, and in the episode, Pinkie Pie becomes suspicious and depressed when her friends appear to be avoiding her, leading her to believe they no longer want to be her friend. So for a bit of context, Pinkie Pie keeps sending invitations to do with some kind of crocodile to everybody, and everybody wants to be invited, but ultimately but then eventually it gets all out of hand. She keeps sending invites to all sorts of things, and then everyone's like they've got other things to do, and she kind of sort of jumps to the conclusion that everyone hates her and doesn't want to do stuff, but it's actually not that at all. Honestly, although this idea has been although this sort of jump to conclusions thing has already been talked about in the show, I do kind of like how it's portrayed here, sort of showing that just be, you got friends, you know, they will do stuff with you, but they do have busy lives just as much as you do, so you know, enjoy that. And believe me, I know for a fact that I tend to sort of send messages, gifts, whatever, to different WhatsApp groups just because I want some attention, but I know I probably won't get the attention because some people have, because everyone has their own busy lives and everything, and it always sort of grinds me a lot when my messages get ignored. I don't know if that's intentional or not, or maybe just my friends just don't know what to say to it, which, you know, fine, everything. So yeah. But yeah, part 1, gonna give it 8 out of 10. Which brings us on to the finale of the first season, which is called The Best Night Ever. So step aside One Direction with the best song ever, which I don't think is the best song ever, it's just, I don't know. We have The Best Night Ever. So this episode follows Twilight Sparkle and her friends who try to enjoy the Grand Galloping Gala separately. Each of them finds their expectations disappointing and inadvertently cause chaos through all their attempts to satisfy their wants. So I think this one does sort of give callbacks to previous episodes in places, but ultimately sort of shows each of the ponies that they go to this gala thinking it's going to be this great party and everything, while Spike goes somewhere else, and then they all find out that it's actually not what it's all cracked up to be. Like Rarity finds this groomsman horse thing, who she thinks is going to do stuff for her and wants to go out and everything, but turns out he's pretty much full of himself and expects her to do all the work. Kind of very one of those sexist things back before nowadays, where the men expect the women to do the work at home, and which I think is just a very sexist thing. Then you got Fluttershy, who's trying to make a friend out of the critters, but becomes the embodiment of a typical Looney Tunes villain, sort of wanting things to go away and everything. Applejack tries to sell apples. Nothing happens. Pinkie Pie wants to actually have a proper party, you know, dancing and everything, but no one's for it. Rainbow Dash wants to talk to her idols, and then Twilight Sparkle is just greeting people with the princess, and then eventually it becomes clear that the gala's not all it's cracked up being, and spoiler alert, even the actual princess thinks that it's just a terrible thing altogether. So yeah. But anyway, so The Best Night Ever for the final episode of season 1. Yeah, it's a good finale. It's a good finale that shows that kind of sort of shows the having high expectations and under delivery, which is something that I know a lot of things do, where we have a lot of big expectations but they under deliver what we're expecting. So yeah. So this final episode of the first season, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. And usually at this point I'll then move on to the next season or the next franchise or whatever, but because, as I said, this is going to be one of those ones that I'm going to do several videos on, I am not going to do that. I'm going to save the later seasons for future videos. So yeah, I'll talk about season 2 in September, and then the others I've not yet planned when I'll be doing them, but for future Let's Talk videos that are not to do with recent releases, I'm probably just going to stick to this for the foreseeable future. Not forever, just until I've gone through everything and finished it and so forth. And you know, for the first season, I have really enjoyed it. I feel it's only right that I just review each of the individual episodes rather than an overall season altogether, because it just feels kind of right. So yeah. But anyway, that's what I've got to say about the first season of My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. Do give it a try if you're a brony or just want to see what it's like, because okay, it may be tailored to a certain demographic, but it may not be as bad as you might think it is, and you may actually learn something, because I've certainly learned something from this first season as well. But anyway, that's all I've got to say about it. Fire off in the comments below, let me know what you think. But other than that, thanks so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you can, please. If you're new to the channel, I do vlogs like these every Thursday, talking all sorts of different topics, not necessarily reviews and everything. Every Monday and Tuesday I do a gameplay series video of a game that I'm doing a long playthrough of at the moment, alternating between 4 different games. Every Wednesday I do a let's play of a completely random game, and then rest of the week I do reviews like these, but usually recent reviews, hauls, rants on live, videos with friends, gameplay compilations, shorts, and loads more. See you in the next one. Peace to you all. And remember, friendship is magic. You'll learn things from this show and probably other shows as well. And just because it's tailored to one demographic doesn't mean you're not gonna enjoy it. So give it a go. Is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, right. Doodles.
Yay!